Uh, right? No need to record this, or we do record this.
Everyone. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. Thank you for joining and attending. Even though we want to hear from you, if you are in the physical audience or remotely participating, and you would like to address the committee during public comment or an item on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card and turn it into the planning staff present this evening. If you're on Zoom, please use the raise your hand button at the bottom of the Zoom screen. If you're joining by telephone, you may also address the commission during public comment by pressing *9, and staff will address you and unmute you. When it is your turn to speak, planning staff will call your name. If you're on Zoom or the telephone, they will mute you. As I said before. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to address the commission. Please note, anyone in attendance may only speak once per agenda item. Let's move on to item 2 of the agenda, which is roll call.
Chair Madden,
Here.
Vice Chair DeRosa, Commissioner Biasotti,
Here.
Commissioner Hardman, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Kuhn,
Here.
Commissioner Levin, here. 4, 3, we still have a quorum.
All right, great, thank you. Next is pledge of allegiance. This one. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 4 on the agenda is approval of minutes. Do we have any corrections for the minutes from anyone on the commission or staff? Not seeing any, so we can do a vote to approve, or I'll make a motion to the chair. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for issue 21st, 2023. I'll second that. Oh, yeah. All those in favor? I.
I'll abstain, I was okay.
Okay, next is agenda item number 5, public comments on items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone in the public who wants to speak on anything not on the agenda?
Through the chair, there are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, no, all right, thank you. Moving along, do we have this item 6? Do we have any conflicts of interest that anyone would like to announce on the commission tonight? Not seeing any there either. So, close that one. Moving along to item 7, which is public hearings. So now we will go to the agenda item tonight, which is 7A, 3015 Fleetwood Drive. The request for an architectural review permit to allow a residential addition that would increase the overall floor area of a single family residence by more than 1,000 square feet, pursuant to section 12.200.070 of the San Bruno Municipal Code, and for a use permit to allow a residential addition that would exceed the existing floor area by more than 50%, pursuant to San Bruno Municipal Code section 12.200.30, section B.1. Dennis Grippo is the applicant and owner, and Wally and Jampaneta are the designer. And like Alicia's gonna do this presentation.
Yes, good evening, and to those on Zoom, the video is not on. We have some technical difficulties, so it will be all recorded only on audio. But my name is Alicia, and I'll be presenting this item for you. So the subject property is 3015 Fleetwood Drive, And as the chair stated, it's a request for an architectural review permit and use permit to expand existing home by more than 1,000 square feet and expand existing floor area by more than 50%. So let's get into it. 3015 Fleetwood Drive is located in the R1 single family zoning district. It's on Fleetwood Drive between Evergreen Drive and Cottonwood Drive. And this is the Rolling Wood number 2 subdivision. As for the surrounding area, it is surrounded by numerous single family homes. These homes on this block were built around the same time period between 1955 and 1958. So they are similar in size and architectural style. They vary in height from 1 to 2-story homes. And let's look at this architectural style of the surrounding property. So this is the property to the left, the property to the right, across the street, which is a split level home, another split level home across the street, single story home. These are split level homes to the south of Fleetwood Drive, so down the hill. And this is up the hill, which is to the north, and there is 1-story home. As for the existing conditions of the subject property, it has a lot size of 80,400 square feet, and it is a 1-story home with an attached 2-car garage. The existing floor area ratio is 0.18, which is 1,541 square feet. It has a lot coverage of 18.3% and currently has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Here we have photos that show the existing conditions. At the top, you have the front elevation. Upper right, we have the setbacks, and to the bottom is the rear, where they're proposing a first floor addition and second floor addition, which I will cover in the next few slides. So the proposed project is a total addition of 1,188 square feet. This consists of a 322 square foot addition on the first floor, and on the second floor, it will be an 866 square foot addition. This will increase the floor area of the property from 1,541 square feet to 2,729 square feet, which will have a floor area ratio of 0.32. The lot coverage will slightly increase due to the first floor addition, and it will now be 27.8%. As for rooms, it will have 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. So this slide here shows the existing conditions. In red is the property line, and in blue is the existing building footprint of the home, and in green highlights the proposed addition. So this shows the slight increase in floor area, the slight increase in lot coverage at the rear of the property. We also see here that the back on the left-hand side will remain the same at 8 feet 9 inches. Then on the right-hand side, it will also comply with the R1 zone setback. At the rear, since the lot size is 8,400 square feet, there's a lot of room at the rear, so it will comply with the 10-foot rear setback. Looking at the first floor, this is the existing first floor plan, and here we have the proposed first floor. This will now, the first floor addition will accommodate a new laundry room and expand a portion of a remodeled kitchen area. The proposed project will also reconfigure the kitchen, dining, and living space into an open concept layout. The addition will also accommodate the new stairway that they are proposing to access the second floor. And the existing 2-car garage will remain the same. As for the second floor, which is 866 square feet, here we see it in green. This will accommodate 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a master bedroom with an in-suite bathroom and walk-in closet. As for the proposed exterior material, It will be consistent with the existing conditions, which is a stucco wall finish and asphalt shingles. As for windows, it will use PVC windows and similar roof gutters to a metal material. And here we have the elevation that shows the proposed conditions in detail. So to the left, we have the existing front elevation, and to the right, we have the proposed conditions. So here we get a sense that the proposed project will incorporate the facade articulation on the right-hand side with the use of a setback. And this will comply with the daylight plan. For the rear addition, we have the existing rear elevation. And in green, we see the proposed two-story structure. At the bottom is where it will be for the laundry room and the extended kitchen. And at the top, we have the master bedroom and its windows. This is the north elevation, the left-hand side. And they are proposing one single window on the second story addition. It will be mounted inside and will not have any privacy impact on its adjacent neighbors. And similarly, on the south elevation, they are also proposing one single second story window, which will also be mounted inside and not have any privacy impact on its neighbors. One thing to point out here is the first floor, at the existing garage, will now incorporate a new doorway and window on this elevation. So staff's analysis on the proposed conditions. So to remind the planning commission and the public, these are the R1 development standards. So maximum permitted floor area ratio is 0.55. So this translates to a floor area of 3,649 square feet. The maximum permitted lot coverage for this proposed lot is 2,919 square feet. The maximum impervious area allowed is 80% of the total lot. The minimum landscape area that must be provided is at least 13%, and the maximum building height shall be no greater than 20 feet. So the proposed project, even though it will increase the floor area by more than 1,000 square feet and more than 50% of the existing floor area, it will comply with these development standards. So the floor area ratio is proposed to be 0.32, which translates to 2,729 square feet. The lot coverage will be 27.8%. The maximum impervious area is proposed to be 34%. It will provide more than enough landscaping at 66%, and the maximum height of the proposed project will be 21 feet 1 inch. So floor area analysis, just to reiterate, it will comply with the maximum permitted floor area ratio, since it is at 0.32. And this table here just shows that the proposed addition will increase by 77%, which is the reason why we are proposing, presenting this in front of you, because it is exceeding the 50% threshold. So staff findings, the proposed addition will not be detrimental to the health and safety of the general welfare. We find that it will not impact privacy or solar access to the building property. It is consistent with the general plan designation, since it is a single family addition in single family home code. It complies with all setbacks, height, lot coverage, and landscape requirements, since it is using similar materials to existing conditions and surrounding properties. It is in harmony with the scale and character of the neighborhood. And lastly, it conforms with the design principles found in the residential design guidelines. And staff finds that it is an attractive design, so we support this project, and for that reason, we recommend planning commission to, I made a typo there, it should say approve, the architecture review permit, ARC 3-005, and use permit UP C3-006. So the next step is the planning commission is the final approval body for this project, so if approved, we'll enter a 10-day approval period. And after that, the applicant must apply for a building permit and comply with all conditions of approval listed on attachment 1, which is found on page 13 and 16 through 16 of the packet. So that's it for presentation. I'm here to answer any questions, and the applicant and his architect are on Zoom if you want to address any questions directly to them.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone in the commission have any questions? I just have one question. Can you go back to the slide with the proposed, the front of the house? So on the windows on the existing house, are they gonna change to match the windows on the new construction? Or are they gonna match the new construction with what's existing?
So I will refer that question to the applicant, just because that hasn't been clarified throughout the development process. So Brenner, my colleague Christy will give you permission to speak.
All right, hi Renner. I've given you permission to speak, so go ahead whenever you are ready.
Yes, we call. Hi, Ryan. I'm not sure if you heard Commissioner Biasoti's questions, but we just want to clarify whether the first floor windows will match the proposed windows on the second story.
Because from your drawings, it shows like sash windows on the bottom and sliders up on top. And typically before, in the commission, we've always asked that on new construction like this, and we match all the windows, because it looks a lot better when we done with the final product.
Render's on mute, if you can unmute yourself.
So does it clarify the question about the way the windows open, or is it the trench around the window?
Style of it, they all match when you look at the front of the house, otherwise it looks kind of disjointed everywhere. I mean, we don't need the answer now, I mean, just as long as that can clarify that before the.
Sure.
That would be fine, I mean.
Well, given the geometry of the windows, it looks like the lower ones, they can only look up and down or sling out. Are you referring to how they open, or just how they just
The
look?
the
Border around them?
right there.
Yeah, double hung on the bottom, double hung on the bottom and sliding on top with fixed pieces on the lower portion of the two windows over the garage. But to make the lower ones sliding, because they're so narrow in width, that would be awkward.
Yeah, you have to.
And to make the upper ones, some of those are required egress windows on the upper level. So to make those, the double hung would also unfortunately look awkward because they're so wide, so it's
Okay.
Looks like the trim is matching.
bit of a dilemma.
But that's something I could, speak with our applicant and architect to make that thing,
I mean, I think the one advantage here, and I don't know if you want to go back to the,
Existing elevation,
no, the artist rendering of it shows how far back the actual addition is from the street. You really don't see them in the same plane, because the second story is set back so far.
So we're having audio issues for the speakers, or is it just they're on mute and don't realize?
Renter, did you want to comment?
I'm sorry, my connection is very poor right now. I didn't get, but I've heard what you're saying earlier on.
would you like us to repeat the question?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, it is. I can hear you, but it's not quite clear.
Would you like the question repeated?
If you could, if you don't mind.
Or let me get back to Mr. Busoni.
So are the windows on the front elevation on the existing going to change to match the new construction?
Okay, so the three existing windows at the facade, the owner is planning to replace it with one bigger one instead of pair of two small windows.
So the three existing windows he's planning on changing?
Yes. Currently, it is not complying with the egress window, and the owner wanted to replace it with one big one in the center of the room instead of a pair of two small windows.
Thank you. So given that we outline, look at that one plan, just making sure it's sort of.
Sure.
Okay, cool, I'm done. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, actually, a clarification. So, we've asked for a recommendation to the architectural review committee. That's what you've asked for here. Are we representing right now the ARC, or are we representing the planning? The whole thing is
We did,
Yeah.
we reviewed this in ARC.
You've already seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the final.
Okay, and this did pass the ARC. Okay, good. I have one more question then. So when I was looking at the south elevation, what's up? Yeah, the south elevation, it doesn't appear that all of the windows are being changed. And so the question is, are they redoing, are they replacing all of the existing windows and the existing siding? Or are they only touching the skin on the portion of the home?
South elevation?
I'm upstairs. I'm just talking to somebody.
Yeah, the south elevation proposed, it does appear that the existing doors and aluminum frame windows are remaining.
Yes, on that front portion. Yes, it is my understanding that those will remain. So those windows, the three windows near the roof line, am I
Yeah,
understanding?
and as well as the door with the side light. And in fact, it looks like all of the doors, all of the doors, all of the windows, and, maybe the stucco siding or whatever the exterior treatment is not being changed. Is that correct?
So when reviewing the plans and stuff, applicant, the material for those will change, but they will repaint it to match the finish of the new addition at the rear and the second story. So just be, strengthened. But my understanding is they will remain as is. But if the applicant would like to replace the windows, that will be clarified in the building permit, when we're reviewing it. Just because the building department does reflect the window schedule, in its building permit plan, so that will be emphasized there, whether they're gonna actually replace those or just keep that in.
Anything else? Okay, I think at this time then, we just invite the owner or the architect, if they'd like to make any statement about the design they wish to share. It's optional, don't have to, but if you'd like to, please do. Any hand raised or?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, so, now we can open up to public comment. Do we have anyone in the public who wishes to speak on this item?
There are no hands raised for this item.
Okay, okay, I guess we can move on now then. So, I just say I reviewed this as part of the group in the RSP meeting, and I like the design and I didn't have any comments. I think it's a good project. Anyone else like to make a comment? Okay, would anyone like to make the motion? I guess I can go ahead. I'll make a motion that we approve, this application AR 23-009 and UP 23-007, with the items that we pointed out today. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve. Second. And we have a second. Commissioner Harmon is, joining us, but we can do the vote and then, bring him in since we already have a form.
Of course. Chairman,
Aye.
Commissioner Biassardi.
Aye.
Commissioner Happy.
Aye.
Commissioner Lefferts. Aye. 4-0-0-0, the motion passed.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 7D, which is 1076 San Felipe Avenue. This is a request for an architectural review permit to allow residential addition that would increase the overall floor area of a single family residence by more than 1,000 square feet pursuant to section 12.200.070 of the San Bruno Municipal Code. And for a use permit to allow residential addition that would exceed the floor area ratio pursuant to San Bruno Municipal Code section 12.96.060.7. Increase the existing floor area by greater than 50% pursuant to San Bruno Municipal Code 12.96.060.8C, and would allow for lot coverage that exceeds the lot coverage restrictions pursuant to San Bruno Municipal Code section 12.96.060.3. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, but Chickasaw Yi is the applicant, and Ryan Sitower and Vanessa Merlano are the owners. Ready for presentation?
All right, thank you for the presentation. Our next item, 7D, will be 1076 San Felipe, and I need to repeat Chairman, so what is it? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe I should do that.
That's so weird. All right, so to get started, 1076 San Felipe is located on the corner of San Felipe Avenue and Cypress Avenue. The lot size is 4,000 square feet, so we're going to consider it a substandard lot and under, or excuse me, as measured below our standard of 5,000 square feet. So the adjustment factor we are going to apply is 1.08. So that 1.08 times 4,000 is 4,320. And when we do 4,320, excuse me, 20 square feet times 0.55, that's kind of the standard that will apply to calculate the maximum floor area ratio. All right, and we have some photos of the subject property. You'll notice that on San Felipe Avenue, it does look like a one-story home, but on Cypress Avenue, it's very clear that there's 2 stories now. So there's 2 different frontages because it is a corner lot. And in existing conditions, we have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The home has 1,522 square feet and a 383 square foot garage. Moving on to the proposed project, we'll do the summary and then a site plan as well, so you can see where those proposed additions are located. So on the first floor, we have an addition of 651 square feet. And on the second floor, we'll see an addition of 532 square feet. The first floor, one thing to note about the first floor is that they are considering an 853 square foot ADU. So that'll be built within the walls of the home. And there's going to be a separate egress that we'll find in the elevations as well. So again, you have the site plan and the addition is shown in bright blue. So it'll be expanding onto the rear vertically and horizontally. In red, we have the demolition of an existing pergola. In brown, we have an addition of a patio. And in dark blue, we have the first and second story renovation. So a lot of work we propose in this scope work. Moving on to the floor plan, we'll show existing and then proposed as well. So changes to the first floor plan include in pink, we have addition of 651 square feet of floor area. In green, we show the ceiling height of the first floor that is under 7 feet. So that means they're reducing what was previously uninhabitable space or inhabitable space. In red, we have the relocation of the stairway. In blue, we have the garage that's expanding just a little bit. And in the red dashed outline, it is a little hard to read, but in the red dashed outline, we have the proposed ADU. And just to note, during our architectural review committee meeting on August 10th, there were 2 suggestions that were provided by our ARC. The first being to ensure that the window at the rear, this is going to be the rightmost window. We wanted to make sure that it was fire rated, so that note was provided by the provision. And the second suggestion was that the door be added to connect the garage from the activity room. So the applicant and designer they did take those revisions into consideration to review the plan today. Changes to the second floor include addition of 532 square feet, and again, that's going to expand vertically and horizontally. And we see in red the proposed relocation of the stairway. Moving on to site elevations, we'll show you existing and proposed once again. So there could be no changes to the front elevation, so there's definitely a report on this side of the building. On the left elevation, highlighted in green, you can see the expansion horizontally, and then the same thing on the right-hand side. In green, we have the addition to the rear, and then in blue, we've highlighted the change from an existing hip roof to a gable roof. So that would be the rear elevation. And now we're going to go over why an AR permit is required. There are 2 reasons. The first being that the addition to the property exceeds 1,000 square feet. And the second being that the resulting square footage exceeds 3,000 square feet. So for those reasons, an architectural review permit is required. And I'm highlighting yellow and green. Moving on to the conditional use permit, there are 3 reasons why a conditional use permit is required for the scope of work. The first being that the increase to the gross floor area exceeds 50%. And so in the pink, we've highlighted that the addition to this property is going to be 62% to the existing floor area. second and third reasons why a conditional use permit is required is because the floor area exceeds the permitted floor area standards. So going back to an earlier slide, we did the 4,320 adjusted lot size. When we multiply that by the 0.55 floor area ratio, we have, we're showing here that the proposed square footage would result in a 0.715 floor area ratio. So that's one to keep in mind. The second is going to be 0.53 when we remove 800 square feet per government code 65852.2 subdivision B. And so state law does allow that we waive 800 square feet from an addition that includes an ADU. And moving on to the third reason, the lot coverage that exceeds the restrictions of section 12.200.050, and that's going to be our 80% of the lot size. So with the addition, and the addition of the, with the addition of the home and the addition of the deck, we see an impervious surface of 1,868 square feet. And then when we waive 800 square feet from the ADU, we have 1,066 square feet. All right, and this may be the most important slide of this presentation. I've highlighted in the yellow, we have what was the zoning requirements that have exceeded based on the scope of work without the 800 square feet waived. And then in the green, the numbers that are still exceeding once we have waived those 800 square feet. So the key number to make sure that we're paying attention is 2,289, and that's going to be the only number that exceeds after we waive 800 square feet. So requirement for this zoning district is going to be 2,242 off of the adjusted lot size. And lastly, staff recommends that we approve AR 23-010 and UP 23-008 for the following findings. The project conforms with the goals, policies, and standards of the zoning code and general plan, as the design of the addition is compatible with the neighborhood character. And the project conforms with the character of the neighborhood based on the use of similar materials and design of the neighborhood homes. Third, the project will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of the residents residing in the community. And lastly, the project creates an attractive building environment because it provides both facade alteration, vegetative facade articulation, and it meets the requirements of the daylight plane on the two opposite side setback lines. Okay, that is all for staff. No further questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commission for staff? Go ahead.
A minor issue. I apologize for a terrible allergy attack, I think aggravated by the smoke flying down. So I don't know if it matters that much, but I can't remember whether we discussed it, but I know I saw this in architectural review. Does it make sense to exclude the ADU in lot coverage if it's a two-story building and that part of the lot will be covered by the building regardless of the ADU? Is that how the ADU law is written? That seems curious. And I think maybe like half of it or something is used for building. It's weird.
In reading state law, and Michael may have a different answer. In reading state law, there's no specific language that says if the ADU is part of an addition to remove, say, half whatever 800 square feet, or if it's less than 800 square feet, to remove that part of the lot coverage.
I mean, it's really probably doesn't make a difference in this case anyway, if they have a different, but I was like, that seems weird. I don't know, maybe something to look into for future, because it could impact the future project. In terms of the decision of whether it needs the conditional use permit or not.
Just to chime in, many cities do not even consider lot coverage, and that might be why it's not in a state guideline, because all cities can consider FAR, but not all consider lot coverage. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, through the church, so it looks like the addition is approximately 500, more or less, square feet of additional floor plate, right? And so to exclude 800 is it's a little bit weird. Right,
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter in this case, I think, but in terms of going forward, it's like.
actually, it does for me.
Oh, really?
Well, because, so what I see is they built exactly the setback. They've covered as much areas as they can possibly, just on the setback, and they haven't considered any lot coverage. So that it's not really harmonious with the intent of the lot coverage principle to, create some green space between homes. So, yeah, we can discuss that here.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, so actually, here's one quick, you guys asked to add a door between the garage and the activity room. This is probably gonna get set up to building, department, but it looks like they put the door in the landing. I don't know if that is allowed, that might be what it is.
Are you referring to the door in the green highlight here?
Between, yes, that's right.
Door they added,
Yeah.
having at the bottom of the stair.
I don't know if you can have doors in the landing, but I'm sure they'll figure that out.
I don't believe it's the landing, I think it's gonna be located underneath the stairs. That answers your question. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the line work isn't very clear there, but it looks like it's on grade at that point.
and we can fill it in section as well, if that would be helpful.
That's fine. That's not a big issue for me. If they didn't have that, it would be fine.
And to your question, the building division has already reviewed the plans, the requested conditions, so when they do submit for a building permit, that's something that we could reevaluate. If there's any modifications, it would be at the director level rather than going back to the planning commission. So if there are, again, any modifications, we could check it, but we would catch it during the plan check phase.
Yeah, no problem. Question, so with this, they definitely brought the rear of the house as far back as possible. It somewhat overlooks the neighbors who have a different orientation of their house, right? They're running perpendicular. Was there any feedback or anything from the neighbors?
We did not receive any public comment for this item at least. And of course, for all planning commission items, we do a notice in the newspaper and we do a notice to property owners within 300 feet. So.
Did we get a confirmation those notices were sent out?
Yes,
Okay.
so whenever we send out notices, I make an extra one and I send it back to City Hall. So nothing, if there was say like a notice that came back, it would be because the address was not, or there was, say put that during the postal service. So we always make sure that a notice comes back to City Hall.
And so only a complaint would trigger like a privacy study or a shadow study, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, we don't, well, again, we don't require, shadow studies. That was, obviously an issue unique to the one situation. But if you look closely, I believe at the rear elevation here, it isn't, in terms of the windows of what's actually looking back towards the house behind. It's not, yeah, because right now you've got the two windows that I believe are both bedroom windows that are two separate bedrooms that are on the ends of the elevation. In this case, I think you have just now one bedroom and then a bathroom window in the new addition, and the windows are a little smaller. So it's a comparable kind of impact to the neighbor as what's there, except of course it's a little further out. But the rear setback does exceed the 10 feet, so I believe to the patio. It's not all the way back to where they could go.
It's not all the way back as far as you go. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I thought
rear setback would be 10 to the structure and the patio, I believe is at. So it's, yeah, they've got 10 feet to the patio, and the patio is just flat, it's just flat on the ground.
It's 20 from the fence to the,
Correct.
from the eaves, I guess, from here.
Yeah.
Or is that?
20, yeah, 20 to the back wall.
That wall.
Yeah, 20 to the back wall and feet to the patio, which is just flat on the ground. I'm not sure if that's raised or.
What, so they have the height, from grade to the top of the gable at only 19.5 feet. That's gotta be wrong. Did you, it's it's a 2-story plus somewhere.
It's just 2 stories, so they're matching the height of the existing home.
On the very back of the house, where it slopes down quite far. See, that says 16 feet, but that can't be right.
Oh, well, okay, based on the way our code reads, when you have a sloping situation like this, it's from the midpoint of the slope on the house. So if you see the,
Yeah, you're choosing from the midpoint of the front, the first story, down the bottom of the.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the height is based on the way our code interprets it, the 16 feet.
Okay.
Even though it's actually higher.
I mean, it's gotta be close to the max.
Right.
It's gotta be close to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will, through the chair, I will point out just what the reading from our code says about development standard waivers. Development standards regarding lot coverage, floor area ratio, impervious surface, and lot size shall be waived to allow a maximum 800 square foot detached or attached accessory dwelling unit with a maximum of 16 feet in height. So.
So it's a lot cover subtraction for any games.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, lot coverage, floor area, impervious surface. The state has been very clear that none of our development standards can prohibit someone from building at least 800 square foot ADU. So if it was violating other standards, in our code, other development standards, such as setback or anything else, we have to basically try to accommodate it.
I do have a question. I don't know if this is something that was brought up. It sounds like probably not at the ARC meeting, but there is kind of a double stacked window, and I'm thinking that's in the stairwell. And it has some really interesting shutters going on, some double pane shutters. I don't know if that catches the eye of any of the other commissioners, but it was really rather odd to me. Funny stack windows, that there's one on top of the other. It doesn't bother me so much that I would say absolutely I can't handle it, but I would consider doing something different, unless commissioner has something else to say about that.
And just to make sure we're looking at the same windows, these are going to be on the left elevations?
Yeah, the upper right.
Okay.
Yeah, the ARC, I didn't realize that that's what those were, being honestly. It looks like they're doing all the windows on that side.
Correct. And I think I'd like to have our architect speak more on the design choices. So if we can provide Chica the speak. Okay, Chica.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. Hi, my question for you is, I see what appears to be two windows stacked in the stairwell area, just left of the garage in the left elevation. And I just noticed that there's a lot of shutter action going on over there, and it looks really to my eye. And I was just curious if that was intentional, or if you were Are you really gonna be putting in all those shutters all stacked up there?
No, I think it's a fair question. I'm not someone that particularly likes shutters, but the existing house has shutters. If you look at the photos or the existing elevation, there are shutters, especially on the sides that are visible from the street. There are not on the sides that are not. That's how the house was built, or when I approached it. So in the spirit of the guidelines and matching the proposed with the existing, I opted to put shutters on, but I think the owner and I would be open to removing the shutters from the staircase window. If that's something the commission feels would improve the design.
I would approve the design. I think that the spirit of the house originally is, fairly modest, and I don't know if the stairwell window is, and that's already kind of divergent from the cute little facade we had going on before. So I would prefer to see it without the shutters. I guess I would make this more of a suggestion than a requirement, but I would encourage you to consider not putting shutters on that window.
That sounds fine.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments from the owner or the architect you'd like to share? Again, optional, but if you wanted to make remarks on your design, feel free, please.
No, I think that everything sounded like it was covered. It sounded like there was one concern from a commissioner about building out too far, and then another commissioner clarified that we were not building out to the rear setback, but trying to keep, about a 20-foot yard. It was just that patio. So I could have clarified that more in the drawing, and I'll look at that. I'll review that next time. But yeah, just that's not there, and then the heights. So I think everything's been clarified. If there's any other questions or clarifications, please let me know.
Just looking at the designs, it looks like in the existing situation, there's already a significant chunk of paved over area. And we're eliminating the gazebo pergola structure that's like right up against the property line. I don't know if either the architect or staff did like a net change in impervious. It doesn't look like it would be pretty negligible. Run over that and I missed it.
So
Oh, yeah.
for our last, it's okay. For our last row, we did do a calculation for impervious surfaces. And the zoning requirement is going to be 85% of the lot size.
That's why are you counting the new paved patio as new impervious? Because I don't, that's actually true. But, well.
I don't think we did, oh, sorry. I don't think we did, it was just gonna be the addition up to the rear.
Well,
And we can redo those, we can run those calculations before. But again, I think it's very critical, that change.
like look at it from a satellite view, there's a substantial chunk that's paved over there, and then the gazebo area is paved over, and it looked like they were gonna clear that away, and that becomes lawn. I'm not sure on that. Anyway.
Okay, so if there's no more, sorry, discussion, go ahead.
I'm gonna go back to the height. I was just there before the meeting. Definitely, the drawings are wrong. I believe that the 19.5 that's showing on the drawings that I have in front of me might be from the bottom of the floor plate, so where you stand on the first floor, but it's definitely not going to be from grade. So help me out here. Just in the event that the drawings are wrong, how much room do they have to play with?
So the maximum height for an R1 district would be 28 feet.
Okay,
So based on the drawing, it sounds about 9 feet that they have. And we generally do not go out there measuring the height of existing homes based on the drawings that show that they're going to match the height. But if that's something that the commission would like us to do, we're happy to do so.
no, and it's, you know, you've heard about these issues that come like after they start building it. And then realize like, oh, this is a lot higher than it's in the drawings. And, you know, and so that's right, trying to look around the corner here. If they have, it's realistically probably 5 to 6 feet more than the drawing show. Just based on the bottom, where the grade's going, right? Grade is pretty sharp. This is a very steep area. And it's definitely gonna feel taller than 20 feet. But you said 28 feet, they're probably gonna be safe. And maybe we can leave it up to the applicant to, you know, figure it out before they start building. If they think they're gonna have an issue, they can do their own counts but I'm gonna be okay.
Okay, I just wanted to show the right side elevation at least.
Yeah,
It shows the highest point at 19.5.
that's on the high side. So if you go onto the street side, which will be the opposite elevation where the garage is, it's even lower. And so, and really that visual effect, right? So if you're standing, you know, on, forget if this is something on Cypress or Felipe, past the garage, looking up, it's gonna be much higher than this grade here. So what you have to do is that, you know, each of the 4 plates, and I think they showed in the drawing, it's only like 7 or 8 foot on the bottom.
We're not exceeding the existing
So, I think
bridge, right? The existing bridge is being maintained, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
and it's just a grade, this drawing is also, I don't think this is correct. This shows the drawing above. It's on the opposite elevation on the west side. Here, I got it from, it's the left west side elevation. It's showing a flat grade from the garage, but that's not what the street looks like. So, I'll personally be okay to let them go, but it's probably a cautionary test. They can get held up while building if they are shown to exceed it.
And they are showing the plate heights on the ground floor are low. It's only 7 feet 10 inches.
Right.
Plate height, a foot of floor, and then only an 8-foot plate height for the upper floor and pretty low pitched roof.
Yeah,
So it is a pretty modest,
By my calc, it's 4'8", and it's a 412 roof, so maybe around 24, 25 feet at the ridge.
Right.
Level 1. Looks like it's a slab of grade or something down there. Oh.
Yeah, presumably they'll be extending the grade from the garage, so it is flat, sort of what they're measuring from, but I see what you mean, that if you go towards the street there, it's actually sloping down some more.
Yeah, they're gonna have to have, some pretty tall piers. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
If I might address the comment, you know, in looking at this, if they continue to hit roof around the back, and we want a visual plane of that roof, it would look a lot less massive. Would you like to consider, like the original roof line, if you look at that?
If they're in the envelope, you know, the building standard is 28 feet. So if they're gonna be under that anyway.
Okay. But I mean, visually, we continue that look of the roof all the way around too. So. Up to you, like, do that, or?
It's not my record.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can say, you know, what I think it would look nicer.
Well, that's why we're here. You think it would look nicer?
There's certain things that, like, you know, it's very individualistic. Okay, so I'll try to avoid it.
Okay, no more questions for the architect or owner. Now we'll open for public comment on this item. Do we have anyone who wants to, speak on this one?
At this point, there are no hands raised.
Okay, I guess we'll close public comment on this one then, and, yeah, I was, one of the commission comments now, I was part of the ARC, and I think, I was happy to see that the couple suggestions regarding the stairs and, I forget what the second one was, but I'm glad that they, made the updates. Yeah, my concern was with the coverage as well, but given the, reduction based on the ADU, seemed like they were they had a very small over the limit on lot coverage, I believe, 40 something square feet. I'm looking at it, that regard. So, I thought it was a good project, and we give it up to the main commission. Anyone else have any comments? Anyone like to make a motion?
Happy to move that we approve architectural review permit AR 23010 and use permit UP 23008 based on the findings of staff and the conditions of approval.
With the recommendation to remove the shutters.
Yes, fair enough. Okay, I'll accept that as a friendly amendment, theoretically authored by Commissioner Lipton.
Theoretically, off. Okay.
I'll second. All right, we do a roll call vote, please.
Chair Madden,
Aye.
Commissioner Piazzoli.
Aye.
Commissioner Harmon.
Aye.
Commissioner Coon.
Aye.
Commissioner Levin.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0-0-0.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7C, which is 1019 San Mateo Avenue. So request for use permit amendment to allow the conversion of an existing vehicle tow yard into an auto repair shop. The proposed project would utilize an existing tow yard space and abandoned UP 08-027, which previously allowed a vehicle tow yard in an industrial zoning district pursuant to 12.96.150 C.1. Saba Al-Kanani is the applicant and Bob Marshall is the owner. We have a presentation.
Yes, we did.
Great.
All right, we're gonna just get there. Control slide. So 1019 San Mateo is located on San Mateo Avenue between Scott Street and Hermosa Street. The lot size is 7,500 square feet. And this is located within the M1 district, so typically industrial uses. The lot size is 7,500 square feet, as we discussed. The reason being is there is one parcel that is 2,500 square feet, and then another parcel that is 5,000 square feet. So we're going to call that the subject property. Both are owned by the same owner, Bob Marshall, and he agreed to make this kind of one whole unit. For the subject property, you'll notice that the building is exactly to the property line, at 25 feet wide, and the parking lot, and we're going to call that the customer and employee parking area is going to be the other 5,000 square foot lot. Property adjacent includes the 1,000 San Mateo Avenue, that's the former Sky Park Airport parking lot, and an existing auto repair business at 1029 San Mateo. We also have a former glass manufacturing business operations site at 1015 San Mateo. And then to the rear, we have 1018 Montgomery, which is another auto-related business for auto repair. And at 1024, we have a single-family home. The applicant is Moe's Tires, as you'll find in the staff report. They have an existing business location at 887 San Mateo Avenue. And based on their description and conversation with staff, they're growing business and they're going to use the site tonight that we're discussing, 1019 San Mateo, as a satellite location. So auto repair for cars that are not, that there's no capacity at 887 San Mateo Airport. So
We'll go from there. And the proposed project is fairly simple. There's no exterior changes, no interior changes to the building, outside of one minor change that we'll go over together. And then the scope of work tonight is, or excuse me, the application tonight is to amend the existing use permit to allow auto repair. Previous use permit that was approved in January of 2009 was to allow a tow yard office. And so we're going from one auto related use to another auto related use essentially. And the site plan here shows the building in the bottom left-hand corner and the potential for six parked cars in the rear of the lot and then 3 parked cars in the front. So this project requires a conditional use permit because one, it's an auto-related use in the M1 district. So auto-related uses include auto repair as well as maintenance and gas and service stations. So that's the first reason. And the second reason being that because a use permit was required previously for tow yard office, the change from that use is now non-conforming. And because the property has been vacant for more than 6 months, that non-conforming use has now ceased to operate, and essentially that previous use permit has expired. So we're going to treat this as kind of a brand new conditional use permit. And that would be through our provision 12.92.020, in which any non-conforming use that is discontinued for a period of 6 months, that non-conforming use shall not be reestablished. And so then we'll go back to the reason it's been expired, of course. And new auto-related uses would require a use permit. So there are 3 major changes to this project. The first one being a restriping of the rear parking lot to allow for 6 parking spaces. The second being an addition of a security gate for the rear parking lot, and that's going to be in green. And then in pink, the applicant has suggested a repair and replacement of the sidewalk to create an accessible path. They've also provided a detail on the proposed fence, so that's going to match with the existing fence there. And they're just replacing this portion of the fence. Again, that's going to be a security gate, so for any cars that have finished repair and are waiting for customer pickup, that's where cars will be parked, behind that security gate. And we mentioned one minor change to the floor plan, and that's going to be an addition of an air compressor, which is highlighted in yellow. You'll notice that the floor plan already has an office, it's got a space to conduct auto repair, and again, we are only adding an air compressor to the floor plan. So we're going to highlight the key conditions here, and that's going to be found in attachment 1, I believe. The first of 3 that we'll highlight is condition 8, in which the applicant shall not utilize on-street parking. If you're aware, the M1 district is already well impacted by parking, so one of our conditions is that we keep any customer-related parking or customer-related vehicles on the site, either parked behind the gate or parked within the building. And even though the building is small, it does look like at least 2 cars can fit if they do a tandem parking space. One of the conditions is that they shall only accept and make appointments for customers that they can serve in either inside the shop, or if they have vehicles waiting to pick up, they'll be again behind that security gate. So if any customer vehicles were required to stay overnight, again, they shall be stored within the facility or behind the locked gate. Condition 13 states that the approval of this project does not relieve the applicant from applicable requirements, including but not limited to the grading permit and improvement plan, a building permit and certificate of occupancy, a fire permit, and any applicable school district development impact fee requirements. Condition 16, this is from the Public Works Department. The requirement is that they show on the site plan sidewalk repair for damaged or substandard locations, and any repair or replacement shall meet and shall be in compliance with the city standard details in San Bruno Municipal Code section 8.12.010. So tonight's approval, or excuse me, tonight's recommendation is for the planning commission to approve EP 23-004 under the three findings listed here. The project will not be detrimental to the health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare of the persons residing or working in the neighborhood of such proposed use. The second finding is that the project will not be injurious or detrimental to the property and improvement in the neighborhood or to the general welfare of the city. And lastly, the project will not be inconsistent with the general plan. And that is all. We can open the floor to questions.
Any questions, Chris? No questions? There's no architect, there are architect owner.
Let me check here. We are not, excuse me, we have not been joined by the architect or the applicant tonight.
Okay, great. Then I will, if there's no questions, open public comment on this item. Do we have any comments from the public?
There are no hands raised at this time.
Okay, any, final discussion of the commission? Not seeing any, but, someone like to make a motion?
Yes, through the chair, I'd like the motion that we approve use permit UP 23004 for the property at 1019 San Mateo Avenue.
I'll second. And you say that all.
Chair Madden,
Aye.
Commissioner Biassardi,
Aye.
Commissioner Harmon,
Aye.
Commissioner Coon,
Aye.
Commissioner Levin. Aye. 5000, motion passed.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, move on to the next agenda item, number 8. So number 9 is items from staff. I think we have 2 items.
Yes, planning commissioners, this, item A from staff is just a, informational item, to make the commission aware of a proposed change to, rooftop screening on a modular at our JoJo. So, up on the screen is a site plan. So in April of 2021, the planning commission approved, an expansion to the Archojo's Casino, which included a remodeling of the kitchen. And as part of that approval, it included modulars that were approved to be located in the front parking lot, as shown in the dark area you see there, opposite at San Mateo Avenue's on the bottom of your screen. And those plans included, go to the next slide here. And this is, I apologize, a little difficult to see, but you can see the modulars, and then above the modulars, there was a proposal on the plans that the planning commission reviewed that included screening using metal siding material to screen the rooftop equipment. And the same plans that were approved by the planning commission were also submitted to the building department. However, as the architect got more into and our JoJo's got more into the details, the modulars themselves, which are in place, and you can go to the next slide, have been installed, and they are leased modular units. And so to add the metal screening on the roof would require a roof penetrations on a leased building, which is very problematic in several ways, because it could damage the integrity of the roof material, and it's extremely costly to do that for something that's going to be in place for a year or less. So the planning director, the community development director has reviewed the situation and is inclined to approve this modification. However, since the planning commission reviewed plans that included the roof, the screening, we wanted to bring it back before you, prior to the community development director issuing the modification. And if we go to the next slide, I think it's pretty clear that this picture, you can't even really see the modulars from San Mateo Avenue unless you're really looking for them. Shows that the rooftop screening really would only be a benefit if you're, parking your car in the front parking lot. But then again, at the same time, the modulars are going to be removed. And it is just a temporary visual change.
Okay, do we need to vote on something or anything? That's, I need to recuse if there's anything on our shows.
There's no vote required. We do have a representative here if there are any questions about the situation.
Okay, I'll just do point card. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Okay, no concerns. Okay, great, thank you. Okay,
And then it looks like we need some ARC volunteers.
yes, however, we have 2 items, and one is the continued 990 El Camino Real project. Since the architect was not available to make the meeting, the applicant had requested a continuance of that. And then we have a new item, which is on Keynes, and Commissioner Kuhn would be have a conflict of interest for that, so he gets the night off. And so we'd be looking for three individuals to staff the October 12th ARC meeting.
Is this the one in your email where you requested people who were on the ARC previously to redo it?
Yes, it's possible, but I think, given the conflict and who may or may not be available, I think any 3 members would be fine.
Okay, well, if there, I don't think I was on that one, but I can volunteer for this next one if you can't get the original 3.
Okay,
Or as a backup.
great. Anyone else available?
I was one of the originals, but my son's coming to town that week, so I will say I'll be a backup.
Okay.
I have a conflict.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm just like looking back at the email we discussed, and you had sent me a note about scheduling a bunch of these. Yeah, I can make 10, 12. I also like, I mean, I can do it if we prefer, if everybody's having conflicts. It's like I have another evening thing, the immediate night after, and he's dealing with scheduling work, but yeah, I can do 10, 12, we can do somebody.
Yeah.
Do we know who was on the original besides Commissioner Biasotti there?
I believe Commissioner Johnson. And also we'll check with Marco as well.
Okay,
Yeah, so I think we'll be fine.
okay,
So thank you.
okay, I think that's, that item 10 is any comments from members?
We also, was there also a special 9/28 meeting? Did we nail down who is,
Yes, thank you. We should probably do that as well. So I had, let's see, Commissioner Kuhn was available. Commissioner Biasotti. And let's see, I think Thomas, you might be, you had a question mark. Are you going to be available on the 20th?
That's still a question. If you absolutely need me, I'm still being
Okay.
at that point. But I will probably be back by 7 p.m. So.
Okay, that would be, that one would be earlier, it would be at 6. So, yeah, we'll just,
I'll probably be back by 6, but
Yeah.
put me as an alternate.
we'll try to do.
And what is that meeting again? Is that ARC?
Okay, so this is an ARC special meeting. This is for the a proposed 10-story multifamily residential on San Bruno Avenue at the AT&T building, just up from El Camino.
Say 10-story?
10-story.
Okay,
yes.
wow. Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember, but I am not available that night, Chicago.
Okay.
I can't remember how I answered that one.
Yeah, and I don't have it, didn't mark it, so, okay.
I can admit, like, 9:28 is actually better for me than 10:12.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, great,
So is it
so
9:20 or 10:20?
9:28.
9:28. Yeah.
I should be available.
Great. So any others that can be?
I'm a paper calendar guy, so I'm just trying to imagine. You know what, go ahead and put me down for it, and if I can't, I'll reach out.
I'll check with the other.
All building the city, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, so this is, yeah, without saying too much, but so we don't violate the Brown Act. So this is a proposal that's, taking advantage of, several state laws, and primarily the state density bonus law, which allows for the addition of three additional stories, or in this case, 33 feet of additional height, if the project's 100% affordable. So it is taking advantage of a number of state density bonus laws for the proposal. Okay, well, thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we're adjourned. All right, thank you, everybody. See you next time.
But for my own calendar, you didn't end up needing me on the list for 28th, but I am on the call. We got other people.